Welcome to the video on how to write your lab report for Experiment 5, Introduction to Separation Techniques 2. Let's begin by reviewing the separation techniques that were studied in Experiment 4. Solvent extraction, where an extracting solvent is introduced to extract a substance dissolved in a solution. The extracting solvent must be immiscible with the solvent containing the substance. The substance to be extracted is more soluble in the extracting solvent. Gravity filtration, where the filtrate passes through the filter medium by gravity. Suction filtration, where the solution is drawn through the filter paper by applying a vacuum to a filter flask with a side arm adapter. Vacuum filtration is typically a fast and efficient way of filtering. In this experiment, the focus is on two separation techniques, precipitation and centrifuge. The equipment that is used in this experiment is the centrifuge. The centrifuge uses centrifugal force to separate mixtures. When the mixture to be centrifuged is comprised of a solution and a precipitate, the end result will cause the precipitate to settle toward the bottom of the test tube. When using a centrifuge, always remember to balance it by placing test tubes containing roughly the same volume of liquid into opposite compartments. After a precipitating reagent is added, a suspension forms. The suspension is placed in a centrifuge to separate the precipitate from the solution. After centrifuging, the solution that is on top of the insoluble solid is known as the supernate. The insoluble solid will settle to the bottom of the test tube. It is known as the precipitate. Let's take a look at the three precipitation reactions. Reaction 1 is the separation of lead-2 ions from solution as lead-2 chromate. In a solution of lead-2 nitrate, there are lead-2 ions and nitrate ions. The precipitating reagent that provides the chromate ions is potassium chromate. An insoluble solid, lead-2 chromate, forms and settles to the bottom of the test tube. The chemical reaction shows that the lead-2 ions combine with the chromate ions to form solid lead-2 chromate. Note that the nitrate ions are not included in the reaction because they did not participate in the reaction. Reaction 2 is the separation of lead-2 ions from solution as lead-2 chloride. In a solution of lead-2 nitrate, there are lead-2 ions and nitrate ions. The precipitating reagent that provides the chloride ions is dilute hydrochloric acid. An insoluble solid, lead-2 chloride, forms and settles to the bottom of the test tube. The chemical reaction shows that the lead-2 ions combine with the chloride ions to form solid lead-2 chloride. Note that the nitrate ions are not included in the reaction because they did not participate in the reaction. Reaction 3 is the separation of silver ions from solution as silver chloride. In a solution of silver nitrate, there are silver ions and nitrate ions. The precipitating reagent that provides the chloride ions is dilute hydrochloric acid. An insoluble solid, silver chloride, forms and settles to the bottom of the test tube. The chemical reaction shows that the silver ions combine with the chloride ions to form solid silver chloride. Note that the nitrate ions are not included in the reaction because they did not participate in the reaction. When making observations, it is important to use words that accurately describe what is observed. Here are a few examples of how to take observations. The liquid in test tube 1 can be described as a clear and colorless liquid. The mixture in test tube 2 can be described as a white precipitate that formed and settled to the bottom of the test tube. The liquid in test tube 3 can be described as a clear and yellow liquid. The mixture in test tube 4 can be described as a cloudy suspension that formed in the yellow liquid. Let's look at the lab questions. To answer question 1, refer to the chemical reactions discussed in this video to fill in the table. To answer question 2, refer to the roadmap to first convert the grams of silver chloride to moles of silver chloride. There is 1 mole of chloride ions per mole of silver chloride. For every mole of chloride ions in silver chloride, there is 1 mole of chloride ions in sodium chloride. Let's take a look at what is required to write the conclusion for this experiment. Your conclusion must contain these keywords. When writing about precipitation and centrifuge, state the principles of the two separation techniques learned. Do not write a procedure. The 3 chemical reactions carried out in parts A and B must be included in the conclusion. Watch for spelling, superscript, and subscript. For each reaction, include the word equation and the physical states of each substance. Summarize the observations for each reaction and state which ion is removed from the solution as a result of each reaction. Thank you for watching this video on how to write your lab report for Experiment 5, Introduction to Separation Techniques 2.